Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Alice Through the Looking Glass. Just like fire, burning up the way, rocking like the world up for just one day. Disney's first attempt at a live-action Alice in Wonderland made a buttload of money, but was not all that well received by critics or fans alike. So naturally, money went out and they're making a sequel, but the trailers for this looked like a whole lot of the same, even though they went with a new director this time round. And I'm sad to report that it is a lot of the same from the first Alice in Wonderland, except it's not quite as good as the first Alice in Wonderland. So let's just go ahead and talk about what the film gets right to start. So the visuals are still very good. Most everything looks nice, and all of the visual effects were well executed from Disney. The costuming and the set design also was still very, very good. Not quite as good as that first film, I might add, but it was just nice to look at. You were looking at a fairy tale, a Disney movie. Personally, I like Anne Hathaway as the White Queen. I know I'm gonna get a ton of hate, gonna get a ton of disagreements on that one. I liked her in the first movie. I liked her even more here in the second movie. I think she's camping it up just enough. She's ridiculous with her hand motions. It's just whimsy fun to me. And I really enjoyed that Anne Hathaway was committed to her role and having a good time with it, and it made me have a good time with it. Same thing with Helena Bonham Carter. I don't think she's as good here as she was in that first movie, but she just has so much fun with the role, and she brings such a ridiculous, over-the-top atmosphere that I have to enjoy her performance. It's just infectious through the screen. Again, definitely not as good as her turn in the first movie, but still a joy to watch. But really, that's all the actual positives I can find with the film. It's harmless. It's a decent, harmless time at the movies that is a visual treat to look at. However, I have plenty of negatives to go along with those sprinkle of positives. My biggest issue with this film, even more so than the first film, is that it's Alice in Wonderland. You're supposed to feel the whimsy, you're supposed to feel the wonder, it's supposed to be lighthearted and, just over the top and fun. And it's not fun. They just overcomplicate this story so much that it's become such a drag. And in this one, it's even more of a problem than it was in the first film. This is such a convoluted time-traveling story that it's hard to even keep up with what the heck is going on. What are the rules here? I thought that if A happened, it would result in B, but yet here we are at the end of the movie completely contradicting that. It all just gets so bogged down in this time travel story that we're not allowed to have fun. We're not allowed to just be caught up in the whimsy of it all. Also, there's just not that much whimsy about the film itself. The new characters introduced here were pretty terrible, in my opinion. I did not like the vegetable people. It was just like, oh, what? They're very ugly, and why are they even here? I really hated the seconds that worked with, time in his little area. Those little mechanical seconds were just so annoying. They tried with joke after joke with them, and they fell flat every single time. I just dreaded every single time that little assistant robot was on screen. He was cringeworthy. And really, everything having to do with the time character was not well executed. They just pull so many bad, punny jokes about time throughout the entire film. And maybe one of them landed. I mean, they just tried and tried and tried and failed and failed and failed. And I think Sacha Baron Cohen was not very good in the role either. As we get deeper into the movie, his character is given more depth. And I think Sacha Baron Cohen actually handles that depth really well. It's when he's trying to be funny or lighthearted or in the moment that it's just like, oh my god, what is going on? When his character is first introduced, that entire first segment is just terrible. I was like, oh god, get him off the screen, please. And the real life storyline just is done with absolutely no subtlety. It is a very pro-feminism message here, which If you know me, you know I always appreciate a good pro-feminism message. However, it's just beaten over your head. Like, they don't try to pull any punches with it. It's just like girl power straight from the get-go, and we're gonna shove it straight into your face with no sort of remorse. And I don't know that that's necessarily the right approach, because I think this movie starts to feel a little bit inaccessible to little boys. I don't know that they're really gonna go along with this, because men are just, they look terrible continually throughout. I mean, the Mad Hatter is basically the only positive male character here. The rest are all terrible. And then the men that are running around in the actual real world are just hamming it to the max. Cheese factor, overflow. It just was terrible. The acting was so bad from these characters that I couldn't even really, like, I wanted to plug my ears. I didn't want to listen to it. I didn't want to look at their faces. The mother does fine, but most of the female characters in this film do fine. But speaking of the Mad Hatter, he also has a negative. I thought he and Helena Bonham Carter and the visuals were made that film a nice film. But this time around, Johnny Depp was doing the worst of the Johnny Depp mannerisms. And it was really just a disappointment. He adopted this really weird lisp throughout the film. His ups and downs were just all over the place. It didn't even feel like the same character to me as the Mad Hatter from the first film. I know that part of the point was that it's not the same Mad Hatter, but the acting wasn't the same. It wasn't the same person underneath the emotional, whatever is going on with the character. Plus, again, the Mad Hatter was completely sidelined. He wasn't given anything to do. He was just kind of there for part of the movie and didn't really do anything at all. And none of the characters really did anything at all. They sidelined all of the characters you knew and loved from that first movie to just really focus in on Mia Wasikowska's Alice. And she's okay in the role. She's fine. She's pretty much on par with what she did in the first movie. But, So overall, if you liked the first Alice in Wonderland, I would give this maybe a matinee performance. It is definitely pretty enough to watch on the big screen, but just be prepared to kind of slog your way through it, because it is really bogged down, and it takes a bit of waiting to get through this multicolored mess of a film. If you didn't care for the first Alice, or you're neither here nor there about this new one, I think this would make for a solid rental. I think your kids will enjoy it enough. They might get bored, but at least if they're at home, they can run around and play. So, that has been my review of Alice Through the Looking Glass. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Alice Through the Looking Glass? Have you already seen it? What did you think? And what did you think of Alice in Wonderland, the live action version? Let me know either in the comment section down below or hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!